This is Test Case Scenario with me, your host, Jason Baum. This podcast is the definitive hub for knowledge and stories in the software testing and development communities. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and let's dive straight into the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Test Case Scenario. I am your host, Jason Baum. With me, as always, or usually, Nikolai Evilokin. And with us today, a special guest. Yes, because we are continuing in that holiday spirit. We want to bring on another guest to the show. And it's outside our usual, but we've been really enjoying having outside guests on to talk about all various topics. We're going to keep with the holiday theme today. With us today is Paul Reinheimer of Wonder Proxy. So let me introduce Paul. First, Paul, if you want to say hi, you could say hi.
Hi.
There you go. Sometimes I introduce a guest and my bios of them go so long, and I'm like, by the time I'm finished with them, they haven't said hello yet, and it's like we're 10 minutes into the episode. So now Paul got his hi in.
I don't warrant that long an introduction, so I think we'll be fine.
Okay. Well, I'm not a founder of a company. You are. So there you go. So Paul is a developer, manager, speaker, and father, but not in that order. He co-founded Wonder Proxy in 2009 to help his QA analyst friends test their websites. And Wonder Proxy has since grown from a weekend hack project to an actual business with servers and customers around the world and employees in Toronto, Montreal, Waterloo, and Washington, D.C., and Norway. And we're really excited to have you on, Paul, because we've got a juicy topic, I feel like, today.
I've been looking at the list. This looks exciting, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you. And so today we're going to talk about our Black Friday holiday shopping season post-mortem. Hopefully by now you have ordered all your gifts, your holiday shopping's complete. If you're like my family and others, you've also completed your Hanukkah shopping because, my gosh, you're late. But we still have Christmas to look forward to in a few days. If you haven't done your shopping for Christmas, we always leave a few for last minute. That's part of the fun too. Like some of those movies fighting in the stores for that last doll or whatever. Tickle Me Elmo. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Tickle Me Elmo or Cabbage Patch Dolls.
I may be dating myself here.
No. Yeah. Well, hey,
I don't know either one of those guys.
Cool. Thanks.
but to be honest, I also was not born in US, so I have a little bit of history that I don't know about US.
So did you miss out on Tickle Me Elmo?
I'm familiar with Tickle Me Elmo, but yeah, I never had that as a toy. Like, I think my first Christmas toy was a Furby.
Well, a Furby, there you go. See, that dates you a little bit. But also Tickle Me Elmo came back, so that's the fun about Tickle Me Elmo. As all good things do. So anyway, Paul, it's really great to have you on to be able to talk Black Friday post-mortem and shopping season post-mortem. First of all, I kind of want to just say, did anybody catch any really fun bugs that took place?
I was buying some tea for my wife, and I think that they installed some random plugins to their online store. I don't know if it was like Magento or Shopify or whatever it was doing. And there's this new thing now where like you check out, and then once you're done checking out, it's like, hey, wait, you can have one more deal. You've got 5 minutes, and if you check out, if you add this, we can include it in your thing. There's no more shipping, extra special deal. Would you like null, unavailable, cancel? It was like all of the options they gave me. And I'm like, you clearly didn't check this for people not in Canada. Or sorry, not in the United States. I'm in Canada. I've got that going for me. And I guess that like they installed like a last minute deal promotion plugin, and they've also got a plugin going on for like figuring out things in people in Canada. And those plugins weren't playing well together. And so despite that offer, like it wasn't available to me. And then it left me feeling not great, right? Like clearly there was this special promotion and they told me about it, but then they said you can't have it. Well, I can't have null. But you see what I'm saying. So that one bit me, and it left me feeling not so happy.
Yeah, I would imagine. And it's all about experience, right? We've become very, very used to I can buy whatever I want on my phone in hopefully 5 minutes or less these days. And then if it
Hmm.
doesn't happen, I feel like, I don't know, I get very aggravated and I have no attention span and I'm on that next website like that.
Yeah, the ones that were like the shopping cart is just way longer than you think it is. Oh yeah, I got that thing, and then you pick up your phone an hour later, and it's like step 7 still waiting, and but your cookie's expired, so it's actually just broken. Like those ones are always fun.
I actually had that experience this past Cyber Monday. My family just adopted 2 kittens. Yeah, you go us. Our
Nice.
house is currently being destroyed as I speak. But we were buying some things for these kittens online on one very popular pet store online, and had a really hard time just purchasing it. Like I felt like I had to give them like access to my passport, my 401k, my like I don't know why they asked so many things. And then by the time it went to actually put the credit card, it timed out. And I
Yeah.
got a notice from like Amex, hey, is this like a legit purchase? I'm like, yes, this is a legit purchase. We tried to put it through again, and it just kept like timing out. And Amex, we approved it, still wouldn't work. So they lost
Hmm.
our business, went to a local pet store right down the street, and got what we needed. So that's obviously not what you want.
And after all the frustration, the local store was probably faster.
Significantly faster.
Yeah. I got an
Significant.
app that was like, do you want a masseuse to come to your house and give you a massage? Like that'd be a nice gift for my wife and I. Our anniversary wasn't long ago. Go through all the steps, and then like the last steps, like you're almost done. First, we need you to upload your passport. And I'm like, what? Nothing in the experience we've had so far has said, by the way, at the end of this, we're going to need your passport. Nor has it said, we're trustworthy to have a copy of your passport. Like, I did not feel like either of those things were true. And I just noped out of it. And I haven't deleted the app yet because I want to remember to ask them to delete everything they know about me. Just because that just seems like bad news bears to me. Like that's not a good time.
Nikolai, what about you? Anything
That
good?
that seems excessive. Yeah, to provide your passport for a massage. So I didn't do a lot of shopping this Black Friday or Cyber Monday, but I did have an interesting experience with a new credit card that I recently got because I'm trying to rack up American Airlines points. And they always give those nice bonus offers, spend 6,000 in 3 months and get 75,000 points. And it was a CD card that I got. And the first purchase that I went to use it on was like a Starbucks purchase. And it said that the credit card is not authorized. And then it was declined. And then I also tried to add it to my Apple Pay, also got the same message. And so then I had to call Citi in order to get this resolved. And I spent like 45 minutes on the phone with Citi confirming that it was me that got the credit card. And then they, for some reason, wanted to speak to my wife. They asked for my wife's information, and then they had to call my wife to confirm that it was me that they were talking to. And it was just a bizarre, horrendous customer experience that I feel like was probably related to some bug on their end, because why would I need so much security and confirmation with my first credit card for such a tiny purchase?
I actually had a good experience with my credit card a while back. I was at the dollar store buying some gift cards. So we give our kids, teachers, gift cards for the dollar store because teachers end up spending a lot of money in their classrooms, even up here in Canada, which is sad. Anyways, I went and I bought like $100 gift card with my Amex, and then I ran through and I bought another $100 gift card, and it failed. And then my phone vibrated, and it was Amex being like, "Hey, are you running a lot of transactions at the dollar store?" And I replied like, "Yes," or "one," or whatever. And then before and all of that happened before the cashier finished clearing out the failed transaction. And so by the time he was ready for me to like approve the transaction or like run it through the second time, my Amex was already reactivated to work.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's a
Yeah, that one
good
was good.
business right there. It's like you'll be spending more money with them just because of that.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. When you have a really positive experience, I feel like, I guess human nature, we don't talk about the positives nearly as much as the negatives. But if it's really positive, I definitely talk about it. Like I had an experience with a video doorbell, and it stopped working right around Black Friday, and I'm getting packages. I'm getting packages, a significant amount of packages this time of year, and I was concerned, and I tried to fix it, and I got their customer service, which went through an app, by the way. The app experience is okay. But by the time I got an actual human being, I was already frustrated. And then the human being was trying to walk me through it. They gave me incorrect instructions. So now I'm really frustrated. And then they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry. We can't actually install your doorbell unless you have the original box to scan a QR code, or the QR code was on the side, it should be on the side of your device." No, it's not on the side of my device. It's an older device. Well, it should be on the box. Yeah, this is it's older model. I threw that box out a long time ago. Well, we can't do anything about that. Sorry. So what? Do I buy a new doorbell, or, and they actually upgraded my customer service because of my experience when I called back, and they fixed it, by the way, in 2 minutes because it was just bad customer service. So that's the other thing, right? But also these apps, I feel like if you're going to have customer service be on an app during this time of year, it better work really, really well.
I think there's an interesting role that QA often plays there as like the customer or the user advocate, right? Because sometimes, like I've been there with a QA person, they're like, "Yeah, okay, sure, technically this works. It's terrible. We can like don't do this. Like make this better. Delete those extra clicks. Don't hide it in this menu. Like all you're doing by doing it this way is making them yell at support or not find this feature ever." And I feel like that customer advocate role that QA often plays, especially in like medium to large companies, is really interesting. But they don't get to do that for the support interactions, right? Like they're gonna advocate for the customer within the app. They're gonna advocate for the customer in the install process, like those the workflows. But like, and then something went wrong, and then I had to talk to Susan in support, and Susan hadn't been trained to level 3, so she didn't know how to deal with this product. Like that isn't usually within the group of tasks we assign to the QA folks, um, which is unfortunate because the customers need those advocates, or you need a product owner that's really caring about all of those edges. But usually they're a little numbers focused and not gonna get there.
Totally, 100%. And that's interesting because we spend so much time on this podcast, especially talking about automation. But this is the time of year I feel like where live testing is so important because of what you just said. And even, I mean, Marcus Merrill, who's on our podcast normally,
Mm-hmm.
he also talks quite a bit about the experience factor, especially in video game testing. But it
Mm-hmm.
applies, I think, here, especially this time of year. Like, what is the level of frustrate, like 0 to completely frustrated when I'm using your app?
Yep. And I think with automated tests, like that example I brought up earlier where I was buying tea and there's the bonus promotion, a lot of that was going to come down to how that test was written. Like it showed me that H2. It showed me that box. It showed me those buttons. Like there was the countdown. It would have been very easy for that box that was completely broken to have passed automated tests that I know that some people have written, right? Like because all of that content with like if you were just checking for the presence of like that div tag, like all of those things happening, cool, green light, deploy. And but manual tester that jumps out like a sore thumb, or sometimes it's like there's some it's obscured by a box. You redid the UI and then something came over top of it. The box is technically still there. It's in the DOM, but the green thumb from the automated testing.
Right.
That's why Marcus and myself are such big proponents of also visual testing, because I don't know if you guys agree, but at least from my experiences, especially on a mobile device browsing the web, so many of the issues that I'll find are rendering visual related. It's a browser not properly fitting on a mobile device, creating an ugly website, or sometimes a poor user experience. Where I remember one time I was ordering a prescription and there was a number of boxes, a number of radio buttons. I had to check off one of the radio buttons, and each radio button had a label on it. But the way that it was rendered on my iPhone, it split the radio button and the label, and so it was really confusing which radio button I have to choose because I couldn't understand which label it corresponds with. And so, visual testing, I think it's critical in today's day and age, outside of just having functional tests. And yeah, it's an important thing to have in our toolbox.
I gave a talk at SauceCon, like a lightning talk, a number of years ago, and I just talked about the 5 problems with the hotel we were in that QA would have caught. And one of the problems was it was impossible to find the lobby because they'd installed a new feature that was in like an Alcatraz exhibit in the hotel that obscured the only small sign that pointed you towards the lobby. And I'm like, QA would have argued for that sign to be bigger, and they would have noticed with visual testing that they'd hidden the sign. Like QA could have solved all of these problems for your hotel, but instead people just went and end up in the wrong spot.
Paul, can I just also touch on another point that I think you made that was wonderful, was the usability testing aspect as part of QAs. I don't see that talked about enough, or even myself. I haven't done a lot of it in my career, but I just thought about it when you were talking about it, and especially on like a Black Friday, that is a critical part of the buyer's experience that will result in revenue or result in reputation loss. And it's funny that we'll get boiled down with how do we write automated tests for these functional things. But as you said, at the end of the day, that box would have still come up with null values and creating a poor customer experience that we're not talking about on this podcast. Versus, had we thought about it from a usability perspective, your experience might have been a lot better.
It's tricky, and I think one of the next things we want to talk about is like the balance of speed and thoroughness. And like automated tests are great in that they're fast, but I think that you should be having a real person. Maybe this is controversial with people who do so much automation work, but I think having a real person go through your checkout process on a regular basis makes a lot of sense. I think I've seen that advice for founders. Like every month or every quarter, go and see what it's like to buy your product. Like use a real credit card, go to your website, see what that looks like, and see if there's anything you're not happy with, right? Maybe your marketing manager made people stick one of those like stupid annoying, you've been on our website for 4 seconds, are you ready for the mailing list yet? And that's not quite working correctly. And so, you have to dismiss that on every page. And like there's just those things can get going really quickly if somebody looks.
It's Black Friday to me and Cyber Monday, having just gone through it yet again for another year. It's so funny. That is the day when I get an email from literally everything I ever bought for the entire year. All of a sudden, my inbox is flooded. Like, I didn't even remind, but like, hey, you bought batteries this year. Great. Now you're getting Energizer Black Friday emails. But one of them that I clicked on, another a major-ish retailer, well known in the industry, known for its gadgety type gifts. I went to their website off of an email that I received just because, every now and then you need a gadgety gift. And the rendering, like you said, Nikolai, like I had an experience like that where for whatever reason, it wasn't coming up on my mobile using a Chrome browser. It was all funky. And I'm like, how could they send out a major email blast? By the way, like 6 of them that day. And every single one is pointing me to this site that's not even rendering correctly for me. So I question whether anyone actually clicked the link from a mobile device before sending the email.
And I think one of the challenges with rendering problems or like my null issues is that they're not showing up enough in logs for anyone to ever prioritize that problem. Right? Like if you had a server side error, if whatever backend language you're using aired out or your database crashed, people are getting paged. There's alerts in Slack channels or Teams, like whatever you're using, like all that stuff's happening. But if I'm not seeing the promotion, I'm not buying it, and the stats look worse. Like no one in Canada bought that promotion. Oh, that wasn't effective as we thought it would be. Or you click on that. Oh, I guess our email blasts didn't target the right people. And those sorts of things where like you don't know you're losing money are always really scary to me as a business owner because I need that money. We got payroll to make.
And I also think there's another interesting challenge that Jason touched on here is that you get emails from all these companies you bought something way long ago once a year. And so what does that mean? Probably it's such an edge case that probably nobody's even thought about it. And so it's a one time a year thing that occurs. So of course there's no test written for it. If it's sending an email that's integrated into your website, you're going to assume that it works if you're using some kind of a common email service. You also talked about it, Paul, in terms of adding the extensions that will like do discounts and whatever. And that's also probably a last minute thing. Oh, let's get some extra money out on Black Friday.
And I think people talk about like the pressure, Black Friday's coming, like all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's not like it was a surprise though. Like we know when the next one's gonna be. And you're right, like some stuff's gonna happen to the website between now and then, but like there's no reason for people to be rushing the week before Thanksgiving to like get that stuff out the door. Like you've known that was coming, you've known it was a big deal to your company for months. You had the opportunity to do the testing. I'm not willing to make excuses. Like I know that the on the ground people doing the work, doing the QA, doing the development, all that kind of stuff, got the pressure. But I feel like management should have been handling that for them 3 months earlier. Like if you need to be ready for Black Friday, the quarter, like at the end of Q2, like if that's your life, then sure, but get ready for it.
Yeah, Marcus was telling us that when he was at Retail Me Not, they were testing in like July for Black Friday. Like that was the beginning of the season.
Make sure your load testing's working.
Yep.
Try to load your website in a mobile browser. Maybe try something other than Safari, but don't skip Safari. I think that was I saw that stat a while ago talking about how like, Safari's actually like a pretty small percentage of like traffic on a website, but then they looked at it and it was 45% of sales. Just people buying on their iPhone. So, don't just look at raw numbers. Look at who's paying.
Yeah. I want to touch on this subject, and maybe this is a provocative question, but that's why I want to ask it.
Nikolai, TikTok next week.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
that's our hope.
Not that. Yeah, but Nikolai has this. He talks about AI quite a bit. I mean, who doesn't these days, right? But with the rise of AI, and so many people like it's coming for my job. Ironically, took Sam Altman's first. So, geez, well, but he's back. But
he won that battle.
He won that battle. Yeah, he sure did.
This time, he won the war.
But like a lot of people in QA are rightfully so worried about their jobs, just in general, because let's face it, so many have lost their jobs this year. They continue to lose their jobs. Shift left for some reason means we're going to eliminate QA. And I'm curious, can AI replace what we just talked about in the near future? Everything we just covered, those experiences, the testing, like is AI going to be able to truly replace QA?
Define near term.
Well, that's a good question, because the way AI is evolving, I feel like if you had asked me that a year ago, I would have said, I don't know, maybe like 10 years. But now I feel like I need to say 5 years.
I'm curious on Paul's thoughts.
Paul's thinking.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I
think people, I mean, what we're seeing now with the large language models is a lot of work. You have to know exactly what to ask to get what you're looking for. and I've got a number of people in my small business group who use it a bunch. And like, yeah, I spent like 45 minutes just getting the prompt just right, and then getting more of the content they were looking for. And I played around with some stuff for the website, and it was like dealing with a petulant teenager. But ignoring all of that, just like it takes a lot of work to get that just right. And then if customers and product owners don't always know what they want either. And so I think it's hard to describe exactly what you're looking for in a website. Like, I think maybe some of the work we're doing that's really easily automated right now, that stuff could be good, and maybe we'll get better at anomaly detection, like all that kind of fun stuff. But it's like the fundamentals of like if I could click a button and turn on AI testing for my website, sure. Do we then fire everyone in QA and just hope for the best and not look at the logs anymore? That sounds like a terrible idea. Is where I think we'll be in 5 years. Like, I would add it as a layer, but I would not get rid of the other stuff we're doing.
Yeah. Nikolai, what do you think about that question, especially being such a big advocate of AI?
I think that one challenge we have with technology in general, and especially AI, it be moving so fast, is we look at the current events and we have a difficult time hypothesizing what that will mean for the future. And especially when it involves exponential growth, which, you go from 0 to 1 billion really quickly in a number of doublings, I think like 30 doublings or something. You go from 0 to 1 billion. So it's really fast. 5 years, I don't know. The way I think about it is like, okay, AI is really good at doing tasks now. It's a sidekick in a lot of things that I'll do. It'll elevate and enhance my capabilities. But what happens when it starts thinking more intelligently than humans in areas like QA and testing and development? Like, it already takes log exams and gets a 90th percentile. So what happens when it starts specializing in those areas? And AGI, which will be able to think on its own and advance on its own and learn on its own. Another great example of the things that AI is capable of is, are you all familiar with the game Go in China? So
yes.
In Go,
I forgot this was a podcast, so I just nodded.
Yeah,
that's okay. We also put this on YouTube, so we have all now we have everything.
So Go is like thousands of times more complicated than chess. I think I heard a statistic that Go has more potential moves than the amount of atoms in the universe. So it's extremely complicated. And an AI created by a company out of London, I'm blanking on their name right now, but they had it face the world champion in China. And there was one move that it made that all the humans, all the experts, the champion himself thought that move was absolutely crazy. And later on, as the game progressed, everybody realized that it was a brilliant new move. And the AI basically reinvented, created a new way to play the game that no human has ever thought about before. And so that's a powerful moment, because it says that AI is capable of creating new intelligence that humans haven't thought about before. And so I don't see why over a number of years, AI can't do that in all areas. And so I do believe that we will be replaced. I don't think it's a bad thing. It will just free us up to have more time to do the things that we maybe really enjoy.
Interesting.
What are you guys' thoughts?
To me, so I can weigh on this because this question is so much fun. I think AI is a tool, much like if you give a pencil to a writer, the writer is doing the writing, not the pencil. I understand it's different, but I think we need to treat it that way. And I would treat it similar to a calculator. It sure makes life easier, but is going to replace mathematicians? No. So I look at it in a similar, like, this is dumbing it down completely, but I believe it is a tool. It is not replacing a person.
I went to Adobe Max a number of years ago, and they were showing one of the cool features. I think they were adding it to Dreamweaver, where they were adding the ability in Dreamweaver to understand a lot of the JavaScript libraries and the way you could use whatever to add like a checkbox or whatever and add these interactions to your thing. And so rather than like having to like go and like type it all in, you could like drag and drop this checkbox onto your page and then add in whatever the JavaScript framework work was that was going to do that in the back end and happen. And how that was like completely revolutionary and it was going to kill all the developers because now you could just drag and drop in Dreamweaver or whatever it was. And I think that a lot of these things, rather than doing that, just sort of raise the bar. Like our expectations for how good a website should be are so much higher than they were 5 years ago. Like you want to be able to go through and check out. You want to use the Shopify checkout that already knows your credit card number. Like all of these things, I think the bar is just going to keep getting higher. And I don't know that it's going to require fewer people because now you want it to be able to browse things by just flicking your hand around a little bit, or I don't know, whatever the future of UX is going to be. You want it to be easier, you want it to be faster, and to deliver that for small stores rather than just Amazon is going to require a lot of work.
What if you request an AI to create you that application or that feature, and it does a fantastic job, and then it continues to do a fantastic job as you keep asking it for more features? Would you at some point start having confidence that you don't need to double check its work?
Depends a lot on what it's doing. Like managing a shopping cart, sure. Handling the credit card number, I'm going to want to take a look under the hood. I think there's limitations there. I think on a previous episode you talked about risk profiles, and I feel like that's going to be part of that equation. Is how sure I need to be that this works correctly, and what it's going to look like if something does go wrong, and how that trust is going to get rebuilt.
Where I think it's going to especially get tripped up is that what we talked about before, the experience and the fun. I don't know if a computer will ever get to the point. Maybe it will. Not in the near future. I don't think in the near future, at least. We'll be able, God help us when it does. But I feel like not in the near future will a computer be able to tell me, a human being, what is fun and what is not. Because that's just something that we simply have not been able to do yet. And I think that's why it's so important to what you said earlier, Paul. That's why we got to get in there and actually experience it, go through the process, go through the torment of when it's not working and relish when it is, so that we can understand the user experience. Because at the end of the day, it's what it's all about. It's all that matters. That is literally all that matters. Working, not working, sure, but experience. Cool.
Hey, Jason, remember you, myself and Evelyn, we were on an episode and we were exploring using ChatGPT for customer support and interacting with it to write customer support emails.
Yes.
And we asked ChatGPT to write an email. Was it in a style, I think it was like nonchalant or...
Yeah. It was the world's... We asked it to write it as the world's best customer service manager and the world's worst.
And the world's worst was pretty funny.
It was really horrible.
But it was also entertaining.
It was very entertaining, yes.
Yeah,
it kind of had a sense of humor, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what my thought that comes in is, it had an idea of what bad and humor sounds like and reads like. And does that mean that it can also determine what a great user experience should be like when you're navigating a website and want to do a checkout?
Yeah, I just feel like quality is something that's just so important that humans are still part of.
And it means different things to different people.
Yeah.
Like what you find fun and what I find fun and what my 6-year-old find fun might not be the same things.
Right.
He likes throwing snowballs at my head, so I hope he's not training the AI.
If a chatbot can throw a snowball at your head someday, we're gonna have major issues.
That's when it's
Fair,
ready to
fair.
take over the world.
Yeah, that's when it's the next step is Skynet. We could go on and on. This has been fun. I did want to ask you about small retailers. Maybe I'll leave that as a cliffhanger, and maybe someday you'll come back and we could talk about this all from, because we talked mostly about large scale. You did talk about Shopify, some small retailer experiences, but I feel like it's a much different with small mom and pops that are out there that have to worry about foot traffic and their own website, when, let's face it, they're the last thing they want to do is have a website, like, by far. And I feel like that's a whole other episode, whole other topic. Paul, will you come back and join us for that episode to talk about it?
Absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. We would love to
There's
have you come back.
there's a restaurant in town that has a surprisingly good website for online ordering.
Really?
Like it's just a one-off restaurant. It has great online ordering. It works really well. I used to think that it always just estimated it was going to take 45 minutes to deliver your food, but I've actually seen that number go up and down. So I think they've done better than that.
Wow. Do you think are they just randomly putting in the number, or is it actually coming in that amount of time?
It comes in fast.
Wow.
Well, I don't think they're like waiting for Steve to enter in the number for it to come back.
Yeah.
I think that like there's something else
Steve
in that
Hufflepuff.
algorithm. I don't know what it is, or it's
Poor
just
guys.
random between 45
Entering the
and 60
number,
minutes.
running to his car.
Yeah,
They're turning on a
I
stopwatch.
mean you can do that sort of thing
Yeah.
with texts. Yeah, like maybe
Most
they're just
importantly-
texting the driver. Yeah,
Maybe. Most importantly, what type of food is it?
Middle Eastern food. The restaurant's called Arabesque. It's great. So if you're in Waterloo and maybe you've got a lot of tech users, try Arabesque. It's great.
Awesome.
Not a
and
sponsor.
they'll deliver on time.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly. Or at least they'll tell you when they're coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Paul, thank you so much for coming. But before you go, something very, very
Yes.
exciting. We are
Um,
going to...
We
Go
would
for
love
it,
to give
Paul.
away some swag. We've got some mugs we'd love to send people. So if your listeners do they want to email you? Do they want to email me? How do we want to do that?
I think the best thing to do would be to send an email to community-hub@saucelabs.com. That's where we send everybody. Send us an email. Tell us you watched the episode. Ask us a question. What did you like about the episode? What did you not like about it? What bug did you encounter this Black Friday? How about we do that?
I'd love to hear some Black
Share-
Friday bugs.
Yeah, share
could read
some
them out
Black
when I come
Friday
back.
bugs. I would love that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do a mailbag episode with Paul. We're going to talk about small retail. We're going to read your Black Friday bugs. That'll be a lot of fun. So we're going to have to do it soon. So send us that email, community-hub@saucelabs.com. We're putting it up on the screen right now. Click it, email us, and we will do that on our next episode.
Lots
And
of people
you'll
listen to this,
also
right?
get
So they've got
some
nothing
swag.
to click on. Yeah, I'll send you a mug. I assume some Sauce Labs have mugs, or do you have cooler swag than mugs? Do you have bottles?
We might send you some hot sauce. We're going to send some hot sauce. Hot
Okay.
sauce, maybe a t-shirt. We'll see.
Okay, I think I can do the first 10 people who email us a bug.
Okay, we're going to match that. First 10 people,
Awesome.
we'll match that
Getting
with
some
hot
Sauce Labs
in it.
and some Wonder Proxy swag. Good stuff.
That's right. There you go. Cool. Swag is what it's all about. And I promise you, our shopping experience through our combined companies will be much better than anything you have experienced because we have all the testers in the world.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Paul. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thanks, Paul.
And thank you for listening. Until next time, this has been Test Case Scenario. Thank you for joining us on Test Case Scenario. Share your thoughts in the comments. We'll make sure to respond to each and every single one. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to keep in touch. If you missed our last episode, it's popping up on your screen right now. Go, click it. Until next time on Test Case Scenario.